on this computer. So the first question is really to look back and think of how old you were or what period in your life you were at when you discovered a love for music.
You know, I was lucky that my parents kind of raised us on like kind of just old school classic rock. So that's just always what I've grown up on. That like I remember as a kid listening to Beach Boys and Frank Sinatra and Dean Martin, you know. So man, I was probably like maybe like 8 or 9 when I started to get like a real appreciation for that. And it's cool now, like when I hear, you know, those songs, it puts me in that place and time as a kid, you know, like my parents driving me to a baseball game, you know, listening to the Beach Boys on the way there, you know, just you develop these memories through music. But yeah, I was probably around like 8 or 9 when I started to really kind of appreciate music and discover the emotional connection people can have through it.
Is there one particular song that stands out that your parents sort of handed down to you where you wouldn't have known about it unless they gave it to you?
I would have to say probably Surfer Girl by the Beach Boys. That's just one that was literally the first one that popped into my head when you asked that question. Who knows if I would have heard it or not, but that song in particular makes me think of my parents.
When you think of bands that you fell in love with, which was the first that you can claim for yourself that nobody else influenced you, or at least your parents didn't?
I'd probably have to say Bruce Springsteen. That was like, you know, and my parents were obviously fans of Bruce, but they weren't like, you know, big listeners of it, you know, if it was on the radio, whatever. But I think Bruce was the first one that I had connected with. And I didn't really start listening to Bruce until I was about in my like early 20s. That was, you know, I always kind of joke like you hear songs, but you not always listen to them. And it was probably like in my mid 20s that I first like really listened to Bruce. And then from then on, like that, to me, that was music. Like it was just Bruce Springsteen. And it just opened my eyes to a whole lot of things.
When I was growing up, Bruce Springsteen was my favorite, but it wasn't the favorite of many of my friends because the grunge movement was going on. Did you ever feel different or ostracized for musical taste because you listened to something that was considered older?
Yes. You know, a lot of my friends would listen to like newer school music, and you know, it's fun. Like I remember, you know, I can listen to like Blink-182 and Third Eye Blind now, but like when they were coming out, like I could really care less at the time because I was listening to older stuff. So there was always that divide. Now I can appreciate it more. But I never really had that experience too much with music. I got that experience more with wrestling and liking wrestling and being like the weird one who liked that was different from his friends. So same feeling, but different, I guess.
I would imagine,
subject matter.
I would imagine musicians and wrestlers go through a similar thing when it comes to talking to their parents about what they want to do with themselves.
I think I may have lost you for a second.
All right, cool. I would imagine that wrestlers and musicians go through a similar process of trying to explain to their parents what they want to do with their lives and being met with some sort of resistance. It couldn't have been easy to say, hey, mom, dad, I want to be a wrestler.
Yeah. That one was hard. I remember it specifically on my 16th birthday, telling my parents, hey, like I want to be a wrestler when I grow up. And them, to their credit, not to my face calling me crazy or shooting that down. I've been blessed with two very supportive parents. Um, but I'm sure when those words came out of my mouth, they were like, Jesus, like they probably thought it was a phase or whatever. Like, you're 16, you don't know this. Like, so, but that's when I told them. And then I remember on my 19th birthday, I said, hey, for my birthday, like I want to sign up to a wrestling school. And I think that's when they were like, okay, like he's serious about this. You know, I'm sure it was met with a little like, what is this kid talking about? Like, come on, that's not a real thing. But they've never said that to my face. They've always supported me. So I think that more than anything is the biggest thing, is to have the support.
Do you remember what your first concert was, or at least your first concert that you had a choice in seeing?
So my first concert was the Monkees at Westbury Music Fair, which was great. I loved it. I don't think it's anyone else's first concert from somebody that was born in the late 80s. But that's a unique one, which is why I always remember it. I think the first concert I went to, like maybe by myself, might have been like, gosh, like No Doubt at the Coliseum. That might have been like the first one I went to, like me and my friends. Probably because a girl wanted to
go. I got stuck seeing No Doubt. It was No Doubt lit in the Black Eyed Peas at Jones Beach.
Yep, there you go.
I had zero say in it. This question's the big one. Name that one song that always cheers you up despite being in a terrible mood, like that one go-to song that can always lift your spirits.
Thunder Road, hands down. My big connection with that song, and even just with Bruce in general, you know, most of his songs, especially like those early albums, were all just about getting out and chasing a dream, no matter how absurd it is or how many people will try to put you down. So that was always my connection. And literally, like the last line of Thunder Road, like every time it's a town full of losers and I'm pulling out of here to win, like goosebumps every time. Whenever I have struggled with like chasing this dream of being a wrestler and the ups and the very, very hard down times of it and low points, that song always kind of refocused my thoughts and refocused my way of thinking. Like, all right, let me start thinking different, think positive. Like, if I keep at this, like it's going to work out. And that song always just kind of amped me up. That and Promised Land, that always just got me jacked up.
When he says the dogs on Main Street howl because they understand, I want to punch the window every time, you know.
Oh my God. Yeah. So this past 2 weeks ago, we just signed a 3-year deal with AEW. And as soon as I got in my car and was by myself, I put on Thunder Road, Promised Land, No Surrender, and I was just working on a dream. And I was just jacked up on that ride home from JFK. Because, like, I remember, like, you know, just starting out wrestling and listening to these songs and having these, you know, crazy dreams of, you know, wrestling on TV, and like, you know, 14 years later it kind of came true, and it was a cool moment.
You would imagine that for a musician to see his video on MTV or wherever now would be a moment where he realizes he made it. When I watched you, and I've seen you wrestle all over, But when I watched you on TNT a couple of weeks ago, and it's like, it's not just, wow, I know him, but wow, that's a friend of mine. Well, you realize your friends have made it. Do you feel that being on TV now week after week, you've had that rock star moment?
I don't know. You know, it's very weird. You know, even watching myself on TV, it's like, on one hand, I'm like, what is this? Like, you know, how did this happen? And then it's like, on the other hand, I'm also like critiquing little things. So like, do I really enjoy this moment, or am I just picking out things I need to kind of work on? But I think seeing, you know, having like my parents being able to watch me on TV, and, you know, having my wife sitting next to me as we're watching me on TV, I get a lot more fulfillment out of that, because these people were with me either the entire trip or most of the, you know, this entire ride or most of the ride. So to see them react, you know, it kind of makes it all worth it. That you know, I'm very humble, and I get weirded out like with like, oh, you're on TV. It's like, yeah, but I'm just a dude, like, you know. So seeing them get excited about it, like, that excites me, obviously. And I'm not saying it's not exciting and it's not really cool, because it really is, you know. But I also, like, I'll joke around with my wife if we're like food shopping somewhere. So like, I was on national television last week and nobody cares in this store probably, or knows. So I just like to kind of remain grounded, but I get the enjoyment out of my parents and my wife and my friends who have stuck by me for 14 years. To see their excitement, like, to me, that's really cool.
You worked as a personal trainer for a while, and I would imagine there are certain songs that help get you through a workout. Are there songs that you rely on for adrenaline?
Yeah. It's a weird mix. It's a real weird mix. So there'll be, like, you know, obviously Bruce. There'll be Eminem gets on there a lot. One of the guys in AEW, the Butcher, he's the guitar player for Every Time I Die. So I'll listen to a lot of Every Time I Die. I'm a big musical fan. Absolutely love musicals. So when Hamilton came out on Disney Plus, that got me all jacked up. So I'll throw in some Hamilton every now and then. Bad Religion. Bad Religion's another one that I'll always go to. Those are kind of like my go-to rotations. It's a very weird mix, but
That's perfect. Alex, that's actually all I need as far as the interview goes. This should be done. If my plan comes to fruition, Mental Health Awareness Month is September. This will be ready to go middle of September, because there's no overhead. I take all these videos, a friend of mine and I put them together. I'm going to try a different way to make a documentary. And if it works, great. You know?
That's awesome. That's really cool. And like, it's funny because my wife is a mental health therapist.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So she's like, ever since this started, she's like, it's been so hard on people. And, you know, especially like that first transition, like that first month or two,
yeah.
She was just like burnt out. She's like, it's a very tough time.
It's a shame that politics got involved in this, because nobody wanted to talk about the mental health aspect. It was wear a mask, don't wear a mask, lockdown, don't lock down. But nobody wanted to talk about, okay, even if you believe in locking down, we need to talk about the mental effects that it's going to have on someone. But that seemed to have been pushed aside just so people can have their sides, and that's it.
Yeah. Yeah. It was, you know, there were myself too. Like, there were a lot, you don't know what's going on with your job, with your, you know, with anything. Like your whole life is just turned upside down. And it's like you do nothing and everything's out of your control. So it's like, yeah, there were some real hard times during that first period.
This is why I'm doing this, and hopefully, we could just keep the dialogue open as far as people talking about music, and maybe music and not politics so much, and just try to take suggestions from each other on songs that could lift you through a bad time. That's what the whole project's about. As far as wrestling goes, this door is open. If you guys have anything going on.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I will 100%.
Doors always here, brother. I know that there was supposed to be a show at the Prudential Center in Jersey right before this all hit, right? Yeah. Hopefully by next year, if we get stuff back, anytime you guys are near the vicinity, stop in.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because man, we were supposed to do the Coliseum, I think, in either July or August. The Prudential Center, we were supposed to do. There were talks about like the tennis center in Queens for like an outdoor show. So yeah, it sucks. It's, and we had that, like we sold out the Prudential, like that was going to be 12,000 people there.
Yep.
And just couldn't hold on. Like it's going to be weird when fans are allowed back in. I think we've done a really good job of, putting wrestlers ringside, and at least there's some noise. But man, it's going to be scary to go out in front of a crowd and perform again.
I like seeing the wrestlers there. Like maybe even when the crowd comes back, like just to see a couple of them, spiked in. But yeah, like not having concerts or tickets to give away. We're giving away Zoom meet and greets with bands, and then the band will play like a song. We're improvising everywhere we can, but at some point we just need life back.
Yeah. Yeah. Hopefully it's sometime soon, but yeah, it's, no one knows what to do because it's never been
done.
Yeah.
I love how they're comparing it to the Spanish flu. Like it was 102 years ago. We don't know what to do. Like you can't compare.
No, it's literally a different world, and now, like, even with my job at Lifetime, like gyms, who knows when gyms are going to open up?
Yep.
So like, I don't know how. There's no, like, it's just insane. I don't know when anything like that will be back to normal. I'm also like, I loved working out at home for a while. But man, does it get tough.
Camaraderie, you miss your friends at the gym. You miss sitting there and buying a shake. I'm losing my mind not being able to go to the gym.
Yeah, and I also, out by me, there's like this small gym, Mr. D's, and it just.
That's my gym.
Oh yeah,
Mr. D's in Patchogue.
Yeah,
it's my gym right across the street from that little lake, right?
Yeah.
I'm there. Well, I was there all the time, bro. No joke.
For sure. Yeah, I hated working out at the gym I worked at because you just can't focus.
Right.
People are coming up to you. You're still technically at work. So I started working out there, and like I absolutely love that place. And I don't know like what's gonna happen to it.
I talk to Garrett here and there, and because his father owns Mr. D's Lumber and all this other stuff, so. They're okay for now, but 6 months is a long time for any business to be closed.
Yeah.
No, when you're in town, bro, if you want to work out, once everything opens up again, of all the gyms I've ever been to, it's like a little Rocky gym. It's a dingy little gym, but nobody bothers you.
No, and that's what I love about it. Nobody talks to me. Like everybody just wants to go in, work out hard, and leave. Like that's what I loved about it. Yeah, it just makes you work hard.
Yep. Well, listen, brother, I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to take a nap. Alex, thank you so much. When this is done, I'll send you a link before anything's ever sent so you could see everything. Make sure you're cool with the finished product.
Awesome. Yeah, right? Absolutely. And then I'll push it out on everything.
Appreciate that. Be good, brother.
Later, man. Good talking to you.
You too.